Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Another fun-filled, action-packed, spectacular for Everton as they go down 3-1 at St James's Park to Newcastle in, literally one of the worst performances of the season. Saving it up for Frank. That performance, just for Frank.
Just to show him the magnitude of the job.
Just to show him the task at hand. They were just basically saying, yeah, Frank, this is what you really have to do. Saturday was just us having a bit of a laugh, like you get through to the FA. But we thought tonight we'll show you, because we want you to coach us and want you to be boss. So here's like, we're stripping it all back.
You had us at our best, now have us at our worst.
Yeah. If you can't take us at our best. Yeah. An absolute mess of a performance, which has left Everton left Everton in a really
deep in the relegation.
Deep in the relegation.
Terrible performance. Terrible. To be honest, I thought personally it was a terrible game of football. It was an awful game of football to watch. I thought both teams were poor. They were better than us, than they deserved to win. No question about it. I just thought it was a poor game of football, but Everton, absolutely shocking. And you know what the worst thing is? You can tell after 2 minutes what it's going to be like.
Yeah. Seeing
the first couple of passes we gave to Gomez and Allen, it was bouncing off them. They couldn't pass the ball. And you give the opposition encouragement when that happens. And Newcastle pressed really well and worked really hard. And we know that these players don't like to be pressed really hard. And because, Saturday against Brentford, we were the aggressors. We had the crowd. We were doing the same. And Brentford basically reacted like we did last night. And I guess that's what you get with those teams in the bottom 7, 8 teams, is that they can be affected by other influences, which is why they're near the bottom. Newcastle had won 2 games all season. It's the middle of February. It's before last night, and yet they knew that they'd go and work hard and press. The fans were excellent. They got behind them, and they thoroughly deserved to win in the end.
No, it was from the get-go, wasn't it? Obviously, we made a couple of changes. No, Michaelenko and Townsend had to start out on the left, and Mina obviously started the game. But apart from that, we were unchanged. And the first, like you were saying there, the first 5-10 minutes, we looked so excitable, and it really needed somebody to calm us down in the team. It needed someone with a bit of experience to just calm us down. Like, what are you doing? And that just carried on all game. And it, in the second half, it got worse and worse. Because in the early part of the game, I thought it was us who were trying to play the football, and it was them who were trying to press us and nick the ball high up. And because we were so edgy, or not even edgy, it was like we were excitable. It's like, we want to do things, but we want to do it dead quick. Like, we'd obviously been, the instructions was to play football, but players were just like smacking at each other instead of being calm. And all that was doing was helping Newcastle to win it back, so helping the crowd. And all it needed, or what it should have needed, was someone to just go, lads, calm down. If you need to slow it down, because all you're doing is helping these out. And then, I frantic was the word I used. Frantic, and then second half, when we couldn't string passes together, then the game become a lot more frantic, which just absolutely shooted Newcastle down to the ground. I mean, a lot of people talk about St. Maxim after the game. I mean, if you want to use the word frantic, that describes him. So that he was the best player because the game suited him, because it was played into his strengths. And I just thought that was the story of the game, is having no leaders going, lads. And I think that's the story of our squad, is there's nobody out there who will just go, lads, calm this down. Yeah. There's no need to smash it down to each other. Pick your passes. On Saturday, Goodison Park, listen, I know it's different atmosphere and different set of players in your own, but we took a little bit more care of the ball. And it did mean we were a bit slower, but if you're taking care of the ball, and I think what we did on Saturday is we built slowly, and the momentum ourselves by early on passing the ball, but in a slower fashion. So when we got to the second half, it was there was a bit more zip to it. Whereas on last night, it was wham, wham, bam, bam, and then they're nicking the ball high up, and to me, that was the story of the game. Just becoming more and more frantic and playing more and more into Newcastle's hands as it went along.
Yeah, I think Everton, I think we coped quite comfortably with them, to be honest, in the first half. But it was when we were on the ball. You know, we had opportunities where we were getting up and around the box, and Richarlison flashed the shot wide after a good little link-up. We had a few of them where it almost came off, but it was when... What we did Saturday was we played through the midfield really well. Newcastle did press us really well, but you're right, we were giving them the opportunity to nick it because our touch wasn't quite right, or the pass wasn't, you know, it was either too firm or we were taking too long to just lay the ball off and get it back. And we just couldn't get any rhythm at all. And therefore, you're right, when there's no rhythm, you'd have to slow the game down because the crowd were trying to help them. And when you see your team running around and putting tackles in and pressing, it gets you, you know, you do encourage it and you applaud it because you can see they're working hard. And they did have, like, Lascelles, and they had Trippier who were, like, telling them to keep doing the things. And I mean, let's be honest, Everton coped quite comfortably. There was nothing they really had in the opening 38 minutes until they scored the goal. Then they had a little flurry for 5 minutes.
The only thing they really had was when St. Maxim went on the run and played it, and Pickford had to make a save, but that's when Yerry Mina was on the floor. So we were one defender down.
Yeah,
and that was the only real time they did anything in the first half before they scored.
We lost our rhythm. Obviously, Damari Gray went off and he'd looked quite lively. And I think what we saw on Saturday was when him, Richarlison and Anthony Gordon, they were dead fluid and moving all over the place. And they started that early on last night. They were pulling Newcastle. They weren't causing them loads of problems, but that brightness in the final third gives you that encouragement. And I thought, obviously, we lost Gray and it was a blow. And I thought, to be honest, I thought the manager made the wrong decision last night. And listen, I'm not getting on Lampard's back. He's just come through the door. He's got to learn about, like, the squad as well. But I just thought by putting Dele Alli on there, it changed it changed, like, what we were doing and what we'd done on Saturday. And it meant we didn't have natural width then. Whereas I personally had either... I don't know whether Dominic Calvert-Lewin, they might have thought 70 minutes was too much for him last night. If he was fully fit, he'd have dropped Dom in there and just pushed Richie out wide and gone, we've still got the same formation. I personally probably would have put El Ghazi on. And just because he's a natural wide player, he will take the ball. And then you could have left the formation the way it was. And then obviously, on top of that, we lose Yerry Mina, who's our best defender. So with two important players down after 35 minutes. You know, he's off at the 35th minute with a thigh injury, so that's him gone for at least a month. And we bring Brantwaite on. Now, that was another thing I wouldn't have done. Personally, I'd have gone 3 in midfield and kind of matched Newcastle up because they were intense and they were pressing. So go and equal it. Go and cancel it out. So you're both doing that and then you hope your quality will show through. But he didn't. He went with Brantwaite. But even with that, we then go and score the goal. You know, and it's a scruffy goal. Of course it is. It's a free kick. Anthony Gordon puts a great ball in. You know, we're there. Mason Holgate gets the shot and we get a little bit of luck and you think, wow, we've actually got a little bit of luck for the first time this season. So you're ahead. You could see Newcastle, beds went down a little bit. And that's the time to protect the ball. You know, in any kind of football, Sunday league, anything, you're there, don't you? Keep it tight for 5 minutes or 10 minutes when you score. You heard that from lads who've just been bevying all night and got up on a Sunday. You know, up and down pitches throughout the country. You will keep your shape. And Everton, we kick off, we get the ball, they kick off, we get the ball back and we're in. There's no danger. Mason Holgate's got it. Everything's fine. And there's an out ball, which is down the line for Richie. Plays it, messes with it, plays an awful pass to Gomez who can't move if it isn't by his feet. And they get a corner from it. And within 90 seconds of scoring, you've let them equalise. And then
you took all the momentum, your own momentum.
Goes and the Newcastle crowd are up, rightly so, and re-energised them. And that was, to me, that's if St. Maxim gets it and bounces around 5 of them and puts it in, you go, great goal.
There's no need for it. It's basics, isn't it? Like you're saying there, it's basics. It's mind-boggling. The decision making at times, and you know, I say for the golden rule after you concede, after you score, is keep it tight, don't concede. You know, keep your shape, go back to the basics. If you've got to turn one down the line, or you try and turn them and say to your centre forward, chase after, you do it.
Try and get a throw,
you don't play a ball like that into midfield. You just don't do that.
And just to like clarify for everybody, we understand that we're gonna play through midfield. We do. So I'm not saying just keep well in it, because the manager wants us to pass the ball out, but there's a time and a place, and the best teams will do it correctly.
But it's learning on the game as well, isn't it? It's learning on the game what's happening. You've already lost the ball a few times in midfield. You've already seen the Newcastle players pressing and trying to nick it from your players in midfield. We've seen that early on. Yerry Mina played a terrible ball early doors. So you're saying, well, what are these doing? What are these doing? So what are we doing? To me, I'm thinking, right, look for a diagonal maybe to Anthony Gordon, or look round to get it. I'm not going to play. You don't play it into that area. You don't. That's it. That was their game plan all night. Try and nick it high up.
But they're 3 in midfield for a start.
Try and nick it high up in midfield, and then Maxim go on a run, and you'll make chances. And we played in their hands, and it's again it's another set piece, isn't it? It's a straight ball. He wins he wins the header, comes off the bar and just drops, hits Holgate, who just doesn't react. It goes in, and that's it. You're wobbling because of obviously the subs. You get to half time, and hopefully there's things are looked at, organised. We'll be a bit more organised.
I think we have to as well. Obviously, Michael Keane for the equaliser. It's got to be marking Lascelles. He's like, no, it goes over his head. He's like, doesn't realise he's behind. It's a good header by Lascelles, to be fair, but he's a big lad and he's on his own. And you're right, it's Holgate's not alive to the situation as he should be, and it's 1-1. But then after it, let's be honest, Newcastle should have gone down to 10 then. Horrific challenge from Shelby. It's a straight red. There's no, there's even on a Sunday with no VAR, that's a red card. Scissor tackle from behind. The referee shouldn't have needed VAR. It was a straight red. You could see it a mile off. I've heard people like Neil Lennon just saying what a disgusting decision that was. And it should have been looked at by VAR. And Everton, Newcastle should have gone down to 10 men. But they had the momentum. You get to half time and you're thinking, right, we need to calm everything down here, but we've also got to match their intensity, because they were intense, they were working. And that's where I think the players have got, the manager can only do so much, and you cross that white line, you've got to take responsibility for what you're doing.
I think
and we just didn't.
Going back to what you were saying about the subs, obviously having to make 2 subs quite early on and maybe not getting one of them, if not 2 of them right, it leaves you with very few options then. You want to bring Dom on, so you've got to change your front, but you've got to try and get a grip off the midfield, because Gomez was just appalling. He was terrible. Appalling.
Got a normal booking, didn't he?
Every time the ball went near him, or it was just taken off him, and defensively he was disgrace defensively. The amount of times people run past him.
One tackle, I think he.
And he was just awful, and you're stuck. Then you've got one sub, and you've actually got multiple issues, and what do you do? And I suppose so. It was really hard to make, any kind of real changes, because the players are out there on the pitch, and
I don't even know I don't even know if he could have gone to a flat back 4 at half time, put Branthwaite left back, and just gone, basically, mate, don't go anywhere, and then said to Townsend. And he were trying to get Townsend further. And by the way, it was the right decision to play Townsend off the left, because it was balanced with the left foot. We didn't get him into the game enough, and when he did get opportunities to cross it, he checked back onto his right foot and stood things up instead of just curling it in with his left foot and having people attack it. But I don't know whether he could have tinkered with that to get the extra man in midfield, because they did press really well in midfield. They had Willich, who's a willing runner, didn't he? They had Shelby.
Energy, didn't he?
The energy was in there.
Energy.
And we didn't quite match that, did we? And we've seen it before with, when Alan and Gomez are in midfield.
I just don't understand why managers come to our club and think they can, any of them, and think they can play 2 in midfield. I really don't.
I think he said after the game, because he asked him about Donny van der Beek after the game, and he said the reason he didn't start was because the other lads had played so well on Saturday. So I think what he was trying to start with is, if you do well, you've got an opportunity to keep your place. We know, we're not saying we know better than Frank Lampard, because he's a pro coach and he's done it before, but we've seen these players for many, many times know that those two in particular, when they're pressed and harassed in midfield, can't cope, because neither of them are quick. Alan gives you everything. He gives you everything. He didn't have a very good game last night, but he gives you everything. Gomez, we know, goes into his shell, but neither of them are mobile enough to cope. So we know that, because we've seen it many times. I hope he now knows it.
And bringing Dele Alli on, who
is match fit.
Not match fit.
No.
It wasn't really the position he should have been playing in.
No.
And I'll go back to what you were saying before. I would have brought Dom on, and I would have played him up front and dropped Richarlison in behind, and because at least he'll work in that position. And then what that then causes you less disruption, and you can get on with that then for the rest of the game, knowing that you've got your number one striker on. You've got a player playing in a similar position to Gray, even though he's not got the same attributes as Gray, that kind of raw pace and dribbling ability. And then it leaves you a little bit...
And Dom's going to get hold of it, isn't he?
But it leaves you a little bit more to play with then, doesn't it, in terms of who you're bringing players on. I just thought once he made those two subs, he didn't really have anywhere to go.
Himself against the wall,
he didn't really have anywhere to go then. And I mean, listen, no one expects that to happen, and it's your first league game, and you know the opposition are chasing everything like dogs. And
I mean, we come out for a second half, and you know you've got to match their intensity. We just looked off it straight away. Where the first half, I mean, we'd had 64% possession. I think at half time, we were in total control. Listening very briefly to a couple of comments at half time being said by pundits, and they were like, Everton are totally controlling the game, but Newcastle are dangerous when they get on the break. But you've got to match the intensity, and what I thought Newcastle did really well was they just come out and carried on that, and the crowd were brilliant for them, in the same way we were on Saturday against Brentford, is that you energise the team. So when you're working hard and pressing, and then the noise level goes up, and they're giving you want to keep doing it. We wilted, and that was my fear going into the game, is that if we allow I think we said on the live show last night, if we allow the external stuff, then we could be in trouble.
We were bullied.
And we were bullied by them, and we were bullied by the crowd.
We were bullied all over the... And that's not good. It's senior players. And this is my real worry now for the next month, is that the likes of Mason Holgate, the likes of Michael Keane are going to have to play. And then you add that to Seamus Coleman, and you add that to a young, inexperienced left-back. You know, if we go back to a flat back four, that terrifies me. That really terrifies me. Because the thing about it is, in the short term, we've got games that we need to win. But it's going to take, obviously, Frank Lampard a long time to get messages across and get the style of play.
Do you wish we had, like, City next? And
in a way, I do. You know, in a way, I probably feel a bit more comfortable. or maybe we should have, you know, maybe on New Year's Day we should have said to, you know, we're sacking the manager, and looked at it in a more...
We should have sacked them earlier.
You know, we've gone into a situation where the owner was so nailed on that he wanted this, you know, Benitez to carry on and give him the keys to the kingdom, that he's put himself in a situation where he's let him control the January transfer market ins and outs early on. And we've left it to bringing in a new manager on deadline day. Yes, we got a couple of players in, but we didn't get a centre back in, and we didn't get a centre midfield in, which is what we needed. We didn't need El Ghazi, and yet we brought him in. And we've had winnable games.
We might need them now.
No, but we've had winnable games though. We've had Brighton, Norwich, last night. Villa. There's 4 games which we've lost.
We could have got points out of.
Which we could have and should have got points out of.
We should have got points out of Brighton at home, even the way the game went. We missed 2 good chances, even to just get a draw. We should have got something at Norwich, and we didn't. Second half, they didn't get out their own half till the last minute when they hit the post, and we didn't. Villa didn't get out their own half in the second half at Goodison, and we missed chances to get a draw in that. last night, probably out the 3 overall, was probably the most comfortable was Newcastle, if you look back at the games. And that's because we didn't match their intensity.
There's 4 games we should have got points out of. And you look at the squad now and you're looking at them thinking, no Mina, no Godfrey, no Decore.
And possibly no Gray.
That's for them. Those 3 certainly for the next 4
weeks. Then 3 for
weeks.
a month and Gray.
And you're playing games you've got to win in that time. And it's terrifying because I just look at the players we've got. Seamus Coleman, I don't really want him in the team, but then I know that the person who's going to come in and replace him is a young lad who hasn't played the Premier League game yet. He just kicked the ball. No, I'm just saying.
But he's got pace. And
that again, that show. I agree, but that's what I'm saying. It's like
maybe they'd be better. This might sound wacky. Maybe they'd be better at the moment playing Seamus at left back and playing Patterson at right back. Or maybe the manager just goes, I'm committing to the 2 young fullbacks and Keenan Hon, and that's going to be the back 4 for the next few weeks. So they all know that they're playing. Because we're trying this other thing that we've seen a million times, and it's not worked.
No.
So why not say to Nathan Patterson, you've played for Rangers, you've played in the Europa League, you've played in the European Championships. So you're going to come and play in our team, and you're going to run up and down, you're going to be loads of it. And you know what? You give him, like you did with Michalenko Saturday, you give him 70 minutes, and then you say to Seamus, go on in that last 20 and look after the game for the last 20. Because we need someone who is going to go on the outside of Anthony Gordon, to give Anthony Gordon that space to come inside or whatever. We've got to have enthusiasm, we've got to have runners, we've got to have that. We need something different, a different pair of eyes. These players who have been the nucleus for too long have done nothing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen.
The second goal, but the second goal, Dele Alli playing a blind pass.
Yeah. St. Maxim gets on the outside of Seamus Coleman. He gives him space to run into. I mean, it's a little bit fortuitous. He clips a ball in. I think it takes a knock off Seamus Coleman's head.
It's not his leg.
Or was it his leg?
Deflects, so.
And then I don't know what the positioning was for Jordan Pickford. I really don't know why he was that far out.
In front of his near post.
It goes into the middle of the goal. It takes a touch. Townsend can't get rid of it. And it's just like scruffy. It's spawny. It shouldn't have happened. We'd seen St. Maxim make that run a million times. And I know I've heard people going, "Oh, it was amazing." If he was amazing, he'd be amazing, wouldn't he? If he was amazing, he'd be amazing all the time. Like, clubs know how to deal with him. Clubs put plans in place because you know he's pacey, you know he's raw, you know he's going to try and take you on, you know he's going to run into the space. Well, don't give him the space then. You know, send them down blind alleys, double up on him.
The irony is, apart from one run really in the first half, we dealt with him quite well. And then in the second half, we started letting him run on us. And it's like, if you're going to let him run it, he's going to destroy you. Yeah. Because the lad is very, very quick. Yeah. So you've got to either get in his face so there's nowhere for him to go, or double up on him and make it difficult. What we tried to double up by putting 3 men who just basically stood away from him. So he just went, bing, bing, and he was away. But that one for the goal, Coleman just goes, go on, mate, run into that space. And he just has him off. And Coleman dives, it hits his leg and loops up. But Jordan Pickford, if he stands in between his posts as a catch, he's in front of his near post. Keane gets a flick which takes it away from, I don't know whether it's Holgate, and Ryan Fraser's in the right place because he's followed it in like you should do. And once that went in, it was like it's over because the crowd were bouncing, they were bouncing. And Newcastle done brilliantly after that. They harassed us, they were in our faces. And yet we still had a couple of moments where we could have got back into it. Dele Alli makes a great run, takes it on his chest. It just doesn't come down enough. We'd had one where I think Townsend ends up having a curling shot, and I'm thinking, could Ritchie throw his head at it because it looked like he might. And we had a couple of moments where we had opportunities to put dangerous balls in and we wasted it. But in general, Newcastle coped with it. Once they got the third.
We didn't deserve anything.
No, we did. They fully deserved it.
We started stupid mistakes. There's one where it goes back to Pickford, he kicks it, it's going Branthwaite.
And then Branthwaite does the same, it's a corner. It was just ridiculous. And we give a free kick.
And then the free kick, obviously, listen, could Pickford have done better? probably the wall. I'm not sure what Anthony Gordon's doing. If you're told to stand in a wall, stand in a wall. If there's someone there, tell someone else to come over and do him. If you're supposed to be in the wall, you have to stay in the wall. You know, the goalie could have done better maybe, but the goalie will say, well, I put that fella at the end of the wall.
For me, he's too far over the other side. If he takes a step to the...
I know, but you have a wall, don't you? And your wall is supposed to... If he has everyone in the wall there, and, you know...
But I've heard goalkeepers who were I'm not a goalkeeper. Never wanted to massage me. Never was. More like 5-a-side goals. A lot of them say if you stand centrally, you can dive either way. Like Jordan, just look where his position is.
No, I know, but...
Because you're saying, if you're that far over... I've seen Kieran Trippier take about 30 free kicks. He was brilliant taking for England. He's putting it... He's never...
No, I know.
He's not Christian Eriksen.
No,
he's putting it back
I
in
agree
this
with
corner.
you, but that's what your wall's for. Your wall's for that.
There's nothing wrong with him taking one step.
No, but if the wall doesn't part, that doesn't go in. It literally goes where Anthony Gordon should.
I'm just seeing him get his hand and it goes under here, and I'm thinking if he's across, he'll get a more...
I know, but that's literally what a wall's for, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
a wall is for...
It is. You're right. Probably more Anthony Gordon than Pick, but I just think he should have done better. I really do. I think he should have done better. The second goal as well, for me, was just as bad as Raya coming off his line for Brentford the other day. It was something that didn't need to happen. You shouldn't be in front of your near post when there's people behind you and someone's here.
I thought his positioning for the second one was poor.
But you're right, Anthony Gordon, you know, and maybe, listen, inexperience, I don't know, but that'll be something the coaches will look at and go, mate, you know, when we give a free kick away there, you can't do that. You need to pull someone else in then, or move the wall or whatever, but you can't break from or leave the gap. And Trippier does, he hits it where there's the gap, so fair play to him, it's a good strike. But we've seen him do it in a bloody World Cup semi-final for England. So you know where he's putting, and he's got a good connection on the ball. And it was game over, and that was the disappointing thing. In the meantime, he brought Donny van der Beek on. I thought he did quite well. You know, he used the ball really well, but we just didn't have any shape at that. We just looked ragged because of the shape. You know, when Newcastle even they hit the post, could have been 4-1. You know, and it's like... they weren't. It was never a 4-1 game. It was never for me. It was never a 3-1 game. They deserved to win, but their pressure. They've basically, for me, they've shown Everton last night what you have to do to win football games, and that is don't take any chances at the back and work your bollocks off. And Everton didn't. Everton haven't got the stomach for the fight, and I don't know how.
That's the worrying thing.
You see, when you're on a run like we are. Your confidence is low. It's on the floor. And we've seen how confidence can be so important in football in the Premier League. You win a couple of games, the next minute you start saying things like, I can see us winning the next 4 or 5 here. And as players you do. When you're losing, it only takes the slightest thing to go, here we go again. And it's the reason why some teams, and we look like that team at the moment, start falling. Because they can't arrest it. And you have to be, you need characters then. Have Everton got enough characters in that side? Not convinced. But they're gone. That's why the manager might have to freshen it up and go, right, you need to come out and you need to come out.
It's options though, isn't it? We don't really have the options to do that though. If I had my way, Michael Keane and Mason Holgate would never play for Everton, never again, ever again. But they're going to have to. They'll play on Saturday.
They played as a pair and are only clean sheets away from home.
Shite. But they are though,
you've got to look at that. You can't go to terrible.
No, they are though. No, they are though, aren't they? They're terrible. They're both terrible footballers. They're both terrible. They switch off. They haven't got the fight for it. They make basic mistakes. You know, we're two awful footballers here who definitely don't have the stomach for the fight. One of them has got the irony is one of them confidence is on the floor every game, and the other one plays like he's got absolutely zero problems in the world, and
plays like he's won 7 Champions Leagues.
and we're gonna have to rely on these two people now, and that's what I'm saying. Have you got the stomach for the fight? Like playing Brighton in August, you know, when it's still sunny and you know still light outside, it's fine. But when you're in the dark days, when you need results, are you gonna put your head in the way?
See, I'd rather them just smash the ball away all day long when they're defending. I know it's not what you want to see. We want to move away from that. You want to get a bit of control, but I'd rather them not take chances at the back because the pair of them look like they've got mistakes in them, and we don't need that at the moment. But that's why I think we also need the enthusiasm of and the freshness of someone like Nathan Patterson to come in and get us up the pitch, because he wants the ball. He wants to go that way. You need that in your team, as opposed to having Seamus, who's terrified, who likes running back towards his own corner flag. You know, you can't expect... He played a full game on Saturday. He played a full game last night. He's 33. You can't expect the lad to be able to run up and down all day long. Got to have a freshness. Otherwise, if you keep playing those same players, you're going to keep getting the same results. And so what the manager's got to come up with a different formation or a different style. Personally, I'd go to a back four at the weekend. I'd put 3 in midfield. And that 3 may be Alan, Van der Beek and Dele. That may be how the 3 you do. And you say to them, busy. You work hard and you press. Then get Richie, Don back in the side, Anthony Gordon. And we go, you 3 have got to press in the front, and we work hard together and get a bit of freshness in there. Leeds are there for the taking on Saturday, but they'll be looking at it going, Everton are there for the taking. And we're going to need the crowd. Because Newcastle have proven last night that if your crowd is behind you and backs you and scream, we proved it on Saturday against Brentford. You know, we've been on the floor this season because we've had him in charge who we didn't want. We've had injuries, results haven't been great. He's John Bourne on the line, writing on his little piece of paper. No one wanted to get behind him. And then we've seen the flip of that for the Brentford game. We had a young, enthusiastic manager on the touchline. Coaching staff, it was a brightness, the cloud had lifted, everyone was bouncing, and we got a big result. You know, we got a big win and a good result, and that's what our crowd needs to do. Because I said last night on the 3 talking points thing I did, these players can't do it without us. They proved that. So some of these, if we ever can get relegated, some of these players will sail off into the sunset to other clubs. And they'll go away and they'll just be a thing. Everton, whatever. We're still going to be here, watching us playing against whoever, not knowing if we're going to get back up. People can write it off. Other people will waltz out the door on freeze and all of that, and we'll still be here. So it affects us more than it affects them. And so we can't rely on these players we can't go, we're going to sit back and watch because these will get us out of it. Because there's no Joe Parkinsons and people like John Ebrils, and there's no, Duncan Ferguson's at the time. There's no, Alan Stubbs and Davy Weir, characters.
There's no characters and there's no leaders.
Tim Cahill, when we were in a little bit of there's none of that. So without that, you're in trouble. So we have to fight and scream and make Goodison for these next 9 games horrible for every club that come. Get on the referee's back from the first whistle, get on the opposition and back our own. We've got him because it's the only thing we can affect. We can sit here and be like that. Oh my God, I can't see it. And we've got Mason Holgate and we've got Michael Keane, but we've got them. They're going to be playing. So the only thing we can do to affect it is make it a hostile atmosphere and scream and give those players an extra little bit of fight and that extra bit of determination, and not allow them to just jog up to press the ball. Because Newcastle proved it last night that Newcastle aren't a great side. They've got a lot of average players, but
energy.
When you've got energy and that crowd, they've got a strong crowd. When you've got energy and a hostile crowd, you can get results. And Everton, as a fan base, we need to be that at the weekend. I'm sure we will, because we were last week, but we're gonna need it, because I think to be honest, it's on us.
I completely agree. I don't see these players getting us out of this trouble without the fans. I really don't. No. I just don't think they've got the stomach for it. I don't think some of them understand. I just don't think some of them understand.
No. Is it that
I still don't. By the way, sorry. I still don't think some of our fans understand. I really don't.
I don't think the board understands.
No, I honestly don't believe some of our fans. I've seen it.
The players are the worst.
No, I know. No, I'm not putting it on the fans. I'm just saying. I think we'll be all right. Sound? Will we? Will we be all right? Is finishing 16th all right or whatever? The point. No, it is. But the point being is.
No hand if you're
but the point being is that that's where we are right now. People have got to wake up to the fact that it doesn't matter if there's 17 games left. We have won 1 game in 4 months. We are dreadful.
No.
And we have to start waking up to the
11
fact.
and 15, haven't we?
We've got to wake up to the fact that we are dreadful, and this is happening in real time. This is not something you can look back at and go, oh God, whoo-hoo.
Well, we might in May.
But this is something we have to start
We have to
affecting.
affect it,
So
man.
when we go to the match, and what I would say is, if there's anyone out there who was part of the people who went down to Goodison and protested, please use that network to let's get Goodison, rocking. But we've said this loads of times. It takes organisation. It's not something, and I don't give a monkeys about people going, it's plastic and all. I couldn't give a monkeys, right? It's about creating an atmosphere with lads in the ground who, people who... The originals, the 27 and all that.
Yeah.
You went down and you rightly protested at the ground and you did the sit-in after the match and all that. You're all brilliant. Now you can affect things at Goodison Park by creating an atmosphere.
Well, we got rid of the manager that we didn't want. We hopefully...
Let's back this manager.
We're trying to get the structure, and people have put pressure on it to get the structure right. We've got a manager and a good coaching staff just come in. We want to back him. It's what we wanted, a young, hungry coach. He'll get people in. He'll do well. We've got to back that. But we've also got to back each other in the stadium and back them, because they can't do it without us. They can't.
They
can't be trusted.
But do you know what? If at the end of it, and if we say we did our part, no matter what, we can say we played our part in this.
You let us down.
You're the one who let us down, rather than going. Remember when we went to that game and the atmosphere was dead flat, and it was like going to the Villa game. That terrified me. I've said this year. I don't know you went there because you're COVID. That terrified me. That atmosphere. I just didn't feel like. I just didn't feel like we were up for the fight. There was no buzz because Duncan was in charge. That changed on Saturday. I think what we need is, I'll be honest, I think what we need is some strong words from Frank Lampard. No, it's a bit early, but I think what I mean is strong words to us as a fan base. Get behind your players this week, because listen, they might all be shite, but they're going to need you. And I think that's important going into Saturday. I think that's important going to every home game now. We make Goodison a horrible place. We've said this a few times. A horrible place for the opposition. Forget about our players. Make it a horrible place for the opposition, like it was last night for us. So that when the ball does get rolled back to the goalkeeper, shanks one. Anthony Gordon on Saturday, straight on it. We get a corner, we score from it. We've got to make the atmosphere horrible for the opposition fans, because Leeds players will turn up and they might be under the same pressure our players were last night. And if we're on top of them, because we know that if we were at someone else's ground, they'd be doing that to us.
We go to Ellen Road, it was like that. That's what
so we've got to start playing our part in this.
Because I heard Declan Rice the other day saying the hardest place to play is Goodison. It's like the most hostile. But let's do that all the time. Let's show every player goes, I hate going to Goodison, I hate it. It's a hot... Lampard said it in the past. They asked him and John Terry where's the hardest place to play. They both said Goodison Park.
And it hasn't been like that.
And that was because of Moyes and all that.
And it hasn't been like that. And we know it hasn't been like that. We know why it hasn't been like that. But we've got to, because this is our football club, and I'm honestly, I feel like, I've said this a few times, I feel like I'm watching it slowly die. And when I say that, what I mean is it's the things that make it special to me. I feel like they're just...
If we can get it, if we can just stay up there. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, because we should never, even as much as we've called this squad of players out, rightly so, they shouldn't be anywhere near the level they've got technically. They shouldn't be anywhere near a relegation battle, but they are, and they are because they haven't got the other side of the game quite clearly, right? If we can just get through this season, we can have a bit of a reset in the summer, and they'll chase a few of these. Lampard's not stupid, and his coaching staff certainly aren't stupid. And then we could start to look up, but right now it's looking bleak. But the one thing I would say, just as a caveat to all of this, what we've said here, it's almost piggybacking on the back of what Frank Lampard said last night, and it's like, this game was never going to define the season, and there was always a fear around that people would make more of this because of what the game was. There's enough games for us to get out of it. We have got to be in it together. Let's keep the perspective and let's go one game by one. Stay in it. We're still in the fight. We're still well in the fight. We can get away, but we all have to take responsibility.
This game could define the season simply because this was the point where, to me, the manager found out what he really had and had to make changes.
Hopefully,
so from that point of view, it could be a defining, as in to say, you know, we need to start doing something like more than we're doing in terms of like maybe we're not always playing it out from the back, or maybe you can't rely on this player or that player. But and obviously changes will happen. I mean, we brought on. Let's just have a look at Dele Alli's numbers. With Dele's numbers, we brought him on last night.
Yeah, 47 touches, 59% passing accuracy. Completed 3 out of his 5 dribbles, 2 key passes, and won 50% of his duels. The passing accuracy is always, with someone like Dele, won't be as high as other midfield because he's always trying little things around the corner, and his flicks and things like that. You kind of accept that. Richarlison has them similar things because he's trying stuff, and I thought in bits he looked quite good, and then other bits he looked way off it. So it maybe I've seen a lot of people going, he's crap, we should never have got him, and want, you know, a 70 minutes or 60 minutes appearance. I ain't judging him on that. It's going to take him a while to get into a new playing style, a new club and all that. He showed something there definitely needs work, but I think the manager's going to put his trust in him. And he made that brilliant run. If he could have just got it down off his chest onto his foot, he might have slotted for us and that would have gone 2-2. If he does that enough times, he'll score goals for us from those areas. I will play him in a 3 at the weekend because I think his physicality will be important. And the other side is, I don't know who else plays in there if he doesn't. If we're trying to play 3, Gomez would be out for me now. He had this chance last night.
It's terrible.
And I think, obviously, I'd have Alan, I'd have Donny van der Beek in there as well.
Well, Donny van der Beek was a bit more of a positive. A bit more of a positive appearance. Let's just have a look at his numbers.
Yeah, 43 touches there, 93% passing accuracy, completed 100% of his long balls, blocked a shot, won a quarter of his duels. He had a shot as well. Sorry, that was his shot block. So I thought he did better, much better. I thought he was, you could see the Ajax player in him. He wanted the ball and he'd switched the play. We just didn't have enough movement ahead of him. But if you're going to try to control the game, and there'll be lots of games that Everton play this season, I think that won't be as frantic as they used to were before, and it was right. It won't be as frantic as that, and therefore we'll play better. You know, I said to you before on the other live show we did, Manchester United only got a point at the bottom place club last night, so there'll be games that you go to where people are scrapping and battling for their lives. They're always difficult games. Everton could have been 3rd or 4th in the league last night and gone there and been turned over 3-1 because Newcastle were intense. We have to be the team that's intense at home. We have to be the team that when the likes of Leicester, who are not going up or coming down, I go there, I go and they're just scrapping for their lives. It was horrible. When Crystal Palace come to Goodison, who are mid-table and they're not going one way or the other, they're the ones who just aren't able to match the fight that we've got. We have to be that team because Newcastle did it to us last night. For me, Newcastle have set the bar for what those teams around them, bottom 3 and a couple of places up, have to do to try to stay up. And that is, you work your bollocks off. We did it Saturday. They got a standing ovation at the weekend, the players. But that's why the home games are huge.
Yeah, the only thing is, listen, if we, for what we lack in technical ability, if we can make up for it in hard work, then you will pick up results. There's poor teams in this, and we are obviously one of those poor teams. You'll pick results up. We've seen that on Saturday. You know, we got into the game, we outworked in the first half, we got the lead, and we just took that on and confidence built. Newcastle did that to us last night. It's as simple as that. They did that to us last night. And
when if we get in front, and we haven't done it too often, you know, last night was a rare thing we scored in the first half of a game, is kill the game. Be professional for 5 or 10 minutes. Send it into channels, into their corner flag. And I know if you're playing out from if you're trying to play for 85% of the game, sound, no problem. You will have more control, but in those key moments, get them turning so they have to start again from the edge of their box. If we wouldn't have allowed Newcastle straight back in the game last night, who knows how that game would have played out. I'm sure they still would have been intense. I'm sure they still would have put pressure on us, but if they wouldn't have got the goal back immediately, who knows what would have happened? And that was on us for being careless with the ball.
There's been too much of that though, isn't it? That's having brains. That's having nous. That's understanding the game. That's what I say it again. Leadership. There's such a lack of leadership in this team. It's embarrassing how players don't understand. Senior players don't understand that the time and the place to do certain things. And I know they're told. And I know they follow instructions, and it's not all just playing football off the cuff. Of course it's not. But you've got to have enough nous in your head to know. You see when the goalkeeper gets the ball and he's going to play it short, and then he goes, no, get up. Get up. This isn't the moment to play at the back.
Exactly.
It's like, you need
why
more
do
of that.
Defenders do that?
You need more of that. You know, if Mason Holgate had picked that ball up and gone, pink down, turn them round, or knocked it out, no one would have batted an eyelid.
And you get your shape and you start again. Like I say, you want teams to have to work to score a goal against you. You don't, Kieran Trippier's, I think the keeper could have done better, the ball could have done better. But the lad's 25 yards out and he's knocked the free kick in. You go, okay, he's hit it well. But the first and the second goal were avoidable. Poor decisions. And that's the thing. And Everton have given too many of them goals away all season. All season.
Well, we had 2 clean sheets all season. 3,
isn't it? 3 in 20 odd games or something. Which is a disgrace. It's just absolute disgrace.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It really is. It's embarrassing. They should be ashamed of themselves.
And then we've had 1 clean sheet since the Norwich game. So one clean sheet since September.
Every defender who plays for Everton should be embarrassed. Yeah. Should be embarrassed with themselves.
It's mad to me that there's not when you're a centre-back playing for Everton, there doesn't seem to be a desire to keep a clean sheet. There doesn't seem to be an inquest when a goal goes in. There doesn't seem to be...
The only person who seems to be asked is Pickford.
Well, when they equalised, he went and... he bollocked. When it went out for a corner, he went and bollocked Holgate for not clearing it. He was saying, why didn't you just put your foot through it? Why? And then obviously the corner comes in. It's Holgate and goes in, and you just, there you go. You give the ball away, and now you've scored the own goal, all from that one decision. And coaches look at that. Yeah. Fans might look and go, no, because we should have put it and maybe they're right, and we got a block in it, but it went out for a corner. That was a minute after he gave that ball away. The coaches will look at where it started. Yeah. You look at where it come from, and it come from. But it's the same way. Yeah,
but it's the same way as on Saturday. You applaud Anthony Gordon for closing the ball down that led to the corner that we scored the goal from. It's the same thing. Yeah. When it's positive, you go, that only happened because Anthony Gordon closed it down. That only happened because Mason Holgate
didn't put his foot
through it. And it's all those little decisions.
And I want Everton I'd rather Everton played out and kept possession and knocked it round and had a bit of control. I want Everton to play like that. And I accept that that's the way the best teams play. But I also would like me defenders to defend, and I like me defenders to get the ball away from our goal, and especially when we've just scored a goal. There's that thing that, you're never more vulnerable than when you've just scored a goal.
It's true.
Just kill the game for them for 5 minutes. Kill the game by knocking it over there. If a ball comes down and you're trying to break momentum, go down. When the ball goes out, sit on the floor. The referee, hang on a sec, therefore, get up or whatever. Slow it down, move the ball, waste time. Break the game up, have some game management. And we're not doing any of that at the moment, and we've got to learn to do it very quickly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's depressing.
It's just crap, isn't it?
It's depressing.
Andre Gomez was terrible last night. Stunk the place out. Let's just look at his numbers compared to the ones on Saturday.
So on Saturday, he had 97 touches of the ball. Last night, he had 45. His passing accuracy on Saturday was 83%, and last night it was 73%. Completed 100% of his dribbles at the weekend. Last night it was 66%. And Saturday won 9 out of 14 duels. Last night 6 out of 15. So around a third. 2 tackles on Saturday, 1 tackle last night. But to be honest, them numbers don't look too bad when you look at his overall numbers. No key passes. No forward passes, no dribble past more than anyone else in the Everton side.
Which is always
things like that. That really showed the true picture of it, and it's those kind of things. No crosses into the box from when he was in wide areas.
And you're talking. There's only 2 of them.
Yeah,
there's only 2 of them in centre midfield.
And him out the 2 is the one you're looking for to do that.
Well, he's the one who takes the ball off the defence and then supposed to turn you and take you up the pitch, and there's none of that last night. He was getting caught, pressured, and they were trying, that's where the focal point was, nick it off him, and then you're away, and he was awful. He was absolutely awful. And
I think Alan was poor as well for me, but at least Alan did. He still competed.
At times, though, Alan was like a one-man midfielder,
no,
wasn't he?
He was, and we can't do them two, I've said before. On Saturday at home, with the crowd and with the way we played and having a fluid front three, they coped with it comfortably because of the way we had Michalenko pushing up higher and Seamus. So they were never massively outnumbered. But last night they were totally outnumbered because Newcastle's midfield was busy. The three were busy, and at times Fraser was coming inside as well and making it a four. They were all over us, buzzing around us, and them two can't cope with it because we needed another one in there. That's why I'd have probably, at that stage when Mina went off, gone to three in midfield and just had the same, match them up. You can start sometimes and go, we'll play with this formation because it did us a favour at Saturday, but that's where I think maybe Frank could have had a look and gone, we've not really got control of this the way we did at the weekend. Let's put another midfielder in there. But listen, it is what it is, and he'll learn about this squad.
Let's have a look at the stats from the match.
Newcastle 20 attempts at goal. 7 of them come in one move. See that one when he had about 4 people were just diving in. Yeah. 11 for Everton, they had 9 on target. And yet Pickford, I don't remember Pickford having to make like a brilliant save either, which was mad, but 3 on target for Everton. No big chances for Newcastle, 1 big chance for Everton. 39% possession for Newcastle, 61 for Everton. 292 passes completed by Newcastle, 454 by Everton. And again, just goes to show you that sometimes possession isn't everything. But Newcastle deserved the win, thoroughly deserved the win.
They worked hard for it.
Yeah, so no
they
complaints.
Worked hard for it, and you can't have any complaints.
I've got lots of complaints, but it's not about the result. All about Everton.
It is about the result.
Well, the result, but all about Everton. Not that Newcastle didn't deserve it.
There you go. Another disappointing final word. We go on to Saturday.
It's scary.
Huge. It is. I'm terrified, mate. I'm terrified. I just don't think this team's got the bottle to do it. I just don't think they have. Don't think they've got the skill to do it. Don't know. But a big game Saturday against Leeds. So we'll just have to be on it for that game. We are currently live on Patreon, and we'll be staying on Patreon to answer their questions and take their comments. So if you want to join us on Patreon, the link is in the description and it'll be on the screen. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. See you later. We're back on